Creation of cross-border authentications made possible by eIDAS. eIDAS is the regulation that has been mandatory since September 2018 and that arranges that authentication means within different countries can be used cross-border within the European Union. You can now use your national eID to log on to public services in another country in the European Union. This should open up the digital market within the European Union and makes it much easier to arrange all kinds of things cross-border between countries. And you as a citizen can now use your normal eID to log on various services in other countries to arrange and work out how you can use those public services for your benefit. In this example, we're showing the Social Security Bank in the Netherlands, which is responsible for providing child benefits and old age pensions by the state. And if you want to look into this, what your current outstanding child benefits are, you need to log on here normally with your national eID of the Netherlands, which is a DigiD. But in this case, the eIDAS also makes it possible to use another residency authentication. In this case, I'm going to use my Estonian e-residency card to log in to the service of the SVB and also show how the Netherlands can match up my citizen code to this Estonian eID to ensure I can actually make use of these services. In the Netherlands, the public services mainly use the citizen code, also called BSN number, to identify people correctly and also be able to get the information from the actual citizen registry in the Netherlands. So to start off the demonstration, I'm here on the website of the SVB and I will start to log in and I will be prompted to go to my SVB login. As you can see, there's also the old logo of DigiD on here, which is also an option to use. So I will continue and go to my SVB login. On this screen, I'm presented with two options. Either I can use my national eID of the Netherlands, which is DigiD, or I can take the option to log in with an European recognized authentication means. What are recognized identities? Every European country needs to notify their eID scheme. And these eID schemes are peer reviewed between the countries to ensure that it will meet the standards that are set for eIDAS. Within eIDAS, there are 3 levels of security, level of assurance, as we call them. That's the level of assurance that's low. There's a level of assurance that's substantial, and there's a level of security that's high. With the high means that really has quite some restrictions on how the eIDs are given to people. With substantial, it almost meets all the criteria of high, but it might not be used for certain services. In this case, I'm going to take the option to log in with a European recognized identification. And it will be continued to the next screens where I can actually choose which country my eID is from. In this case, as I said, I'm using my e-residency card from Estonia. So when I select Estonia, I get the option to continue to Estonia. Here in Estonia, I first get the part of consent of providing information from my national e-residency card of Estonia. Consent is a large part of the regulation of the GDPR, and in this case, the first part is that the actual information that will be requested is presented. And in this case, within eIDAS, this is the minimal mandatory set of attributes that must be provided to make a successful authentication with eIDAS. You see, they require my family name, first name, date of birth, and a unique identifier. This unique identifier is constructed by the countries themselves with some adding of information where it comes from and which the requesting country was for the authentication. So here you can see a small explanation. I will not keep it open too long, but this number that is transferred also uniquely identifies you in the receiving country of your authentication. If I choose to continue, the next screen says there's no request for additional information in this case, so I can continue and see where I get out. I arrive at the Estonian authentication service, and here I get the option to continue and try the authentication. As you can see, it was already set to English, so I will go on and say continue. After I've provided my PIN on my card, it actually reads a residency card, and it retrieves the information that was requested. Here you see a part of the identification number that later might be sent on to the Netherlands. You see my last name, my first name, and my birth date, which is not much of a secret for you. And I can choose to continue. And now I will be asked to say, okay, do you really want to provide this information? And now the fields are actually filled in so that I know, okay, this is the correct information. My name is correct, my family name is correct, and my date of birth is correct. So if I agree to this, I can submit this, and I will be forwarded back to the Netherlands, and actually this time get to the Dutch citizen code matching service. That is also called the BRPK, which tries to match the provided information to an actual citizen code. In this case, it asks you to fill in my citizen code, and I can also choose whether or not I know it or don't want to have provided. Let's see what happens if I don't remember my citizen code, also called BSN. It will present now what it actually found for me, which makes it a bit easier. So, and as it's a very big deal to match this citizen code to the provided information, it really wants to make sure this is the correct one. And this is left to the user, because the user needs to validate this, and if he tries to be fraudulent, it's seen as a criminal offense, as you can read in the text. So that's why in the Netherlands any matching is done actually by the user. That also gives a responsibility to the user to ensure that this information is correct and no fraud is being committed. In this case, I can see that these last three numbers are actually correct. You might not see them because I don't want to provide you with all my secret information, because the BSN in the Netherlands is deemed sensitive identification number, and therefore should not be publicly available. If I choose yes, this should link my BSN to my authentication and my identity from my e-residency card. And finally, I get into the Social Security Bank with a fully authentication. As you can see, I'm actually logged in as my own name, and now I can ask everything about my personal information, status, payments, etc., at the Social Security Bank. As you can see, this allowed me to use my e-residency identification to log in to a Dutch public service. This is what eIDAS enables and allows us to make cross-border dealing cross-border with services, and also making a lot of things much easier, especially for getting maybe medicines, open a bank account, see your statements from abroad, and especially if you're not a native Dutch person, it will be much easier to start in the Netherlands, even with a registration that you're living in a city, etc. So this concludes the demo for the eIDAS, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next time.